Hi, I'm Chandra, and I have cherries. I have lots of cherries. I have my bowls I did some strategizing, and these are the things I'm gonna make. I got my bowls labeled so I don't get confused. I'm gonna make maraschino cherries because I don't know if you've ever looked up how much maraschino cherries are made, but it doesn't make you want to eat them. So these are gonna be perfectly safe to eat without feeling like the. So I'll do that, and I'm gonna can those. I'm not making too many. I'm gonna make half the recipe because I don't know. We wouldn't use that many to begin with, and we've never made it before, so we'll see if we like it. I'm going to make ice cream. This will be a Rainier cherry and chocolate chip vegan ice cream so that I can eat it too. I'm not vegan, but I am dairy free. So there's that. This is for Clafoutis, cherry Clafoutis, which I've never made a Clafoutis. I've always wanted to. They always look so billowy and pillowy, and there's not a lot of flour in there, so I feel like it would be an easy switch out to make it gluten-free. I will use a little bit of guar gum or xanthan gum, but it's only a 1/4 cup of flour. So this will be for that. And this, I won't use all of them. I'm gonna save some in the refrigerator for fresh eating, but I do want to make popsicles. And I want to do that first because it's 10 o'clock in the morning. It's gonna be 91 today and humid. So, because in Vermont it's humid in the summer. So it's gonna be hot this afternoon, and kids are at camp, and I think they will love to have some popsicles when they come home. I'm also gonna have some lemonade for them today. Maybe we can make cherry lemonade. But the first step here is to pit cherries, all these cherries, but let's start with pitting the popsicles cherries, which I almost said smoothie because I make smoothies and popsicles the same. Yogurt and fruit. I'm gonna add this little bit of pomegranate juice to that because it needs to be used, and then I'll just put them in popsicle molds, and they love it. And it's got some protein in it, so I don't mind letting them eat as many as they want. So let's get started pitting. I need an apron. I have never pitted cherries any sort of easy way, but I'm gonna try that this time. And I saw that you can use a straw to poke out the cherry pit. Oh, and then we'll use all the cherry pits to make cherry pit jelly. So I'll save all those in another bowl. And we'll see how, I also heard chopstick to poke out the pit. I have always cut them in half and then dug out the pit with my thumbnail, which hurts after a while. So we're gonna try the straw and the chopstick and see what we like best. I'm not gonna try and get myself to do cherry pit jelly today, and actually the maraschino cherries need to brine overnight. So we'll finish the maraschino cherries and make the cherry pit jelly tomorrow. Everything else will happen today. You know what? Before we start pitting for the popsicles, let's get cashews soaking for the ice cream. I have kind of a base vanilla vegan ice cream recipe, and I adapt it depending on what ingredients I want to use. So what we need, I'm going to double this because we've got plenty of cherries. I'm going to soak 3 cups of cashews. I do not use whole fancy cashews for this kind of thing. I buy pieces in bulk, so it's not as crazy as it sounds. Or is that crazier? Anyway, I have a lot of these in my freezer. Let's actually use this big container. Make a lot of ice cream. It's summer, it's hot, and we've got cherries. Okay, so that's all soaking. Let's get back to pitting. I'm gonna put the pits in here so I can put a lid on it. Let's put these pitted cherries right into the blender. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Ooh, that is good. That was so easy. Wow, I can't believe I've been doing it the hard way for so long. This is like not painful or slow. All right, I'll see you when this is done. Okay, they're all pitted. That was so quick. I've got 2.5 to 3 cups of pitted cherries. I have a very ripe banana, and I like to dry bananas for snacks, but I only have one of these that's very ripe. So we'll use it as a nice sweetener, and also gives a nice creamier texture to the popsicles. So one of those. Pomegranate juice, which I don't always have for a popsicle, but they've been liking it when I add that. And I just made yogurt yesterday in order to make these popsicles. This is unpasteurized, or, well, unpasteurized, yes, but also unhomogenized, so I have to stir the fat, the cream on top back in. All right, and a bunch of yogurt. Pink cherry and almond is really nice together. And we'll do a little vanilla as well, and a pinch of salt to bring out all the flavors. I'm going to do a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. And 1/8 teaspoon of almond. It smells so good. I love almond extract. Smells really good. The way I often make popsicles is just whatever frozen fruit I have and yogurt. If they don't finish something, I will cut the rest of it up, put it in a freezer bag, and save it for when I make popsicles. Okay. Alright, now I just need to find a freezer I can put these in, and we will keep pitting cherries. I think probably the next thing we should work on is the brine for the maraschinos, so that I can get sitting. I have a podcast going, and I am pitting cherries, but it's going so fast that I want to get my quart of water with salt coming to a boil, because it has to come to a boil and the salt has to dissolve, and then I want to let it cool for 10 minutes before I pour it over the pitted cherries. This is for the maraschino cherries, and this will then sit overnight to brine. I'm going to leave it, I think, on the counter. With all this salt, those cherries are protected from going bad, and things work better when they're not cold. So I'm going to go with leaving it on the counter. So let's get that all in here. Four cups of water, and to that I'm going to add 1/2 tablespoon of salt, which is the same as 1.5 teaspoons. So there's our brine. Now I'm going to get back to my podcast and pitting cherries. Oh boy, I hope this fits. Oh no, it's not going to. Okay, plan B. Alright, I definitely should have guessed that it wouldn't fit because it was already full with all the cherries. But we can go into this jar that the cashews were in, so I just rinsed it. And then the fun part will be pouring that hot water in. I'll put it back. Maybe I'll put it into my measuring cup first. I imagine what we're doing here, that one doesn't look very good. I imagine what we're doing here is removing a lot of the water from the cherries in order to concentrate their flavor. think I can pour this. The salt does pull water. So we're going to drain this brine and rinse them. Okay, that is ready to sit. Just get all the bubbles out of there. Beautiful. Okay, so I have my maraschino cherries brining, and while I have this pot out, I am going to cook the cherries for the ice cream just a little bit. I want to cook out some of the water. I'm going to put a little bit of water in the bottom just so they don't burn. And I want to cook out some of the water so that when, oh, that pot is hot, so that when they freeze in the ice cream, they're not going to be icy. They'll be that soft texture that is so nice to bite into an ice cream. Oh, I should rinse that out. That's flavor. These I will just cook until they start to break down and release their juices, and this water will boil away. So we'll just have cherry juice and cherries. Some of these cherries will get blended into the milk to flavor the base. Just a few minutes later, maybe 5 minutes, this is how they are looking. And they're starting to fall apart. I'm feeling kind of mushy. So I'm just gonna let this go just a couple minutes to make sure that all that water is boiled away. And then we'll save these from early this afternoon when those cashews have had plenty of time to soak. And here we are at totally softened. The water's all evaporated. They're starting to fall apart. So I'm going to turn this off. All right, let's work on clafoutis, which I have wanted to make for years. It seems so easy, which is why I've wanted to make it, and also funny why I haven't made it. So first I need to grease this with lard because I'm trying to keep this dairy-free so I can eat it too. I'm using leaf lard, which will not taste like pork. I'm breaking out the regular sugar for this. So I'm going to use less than the recipe calls for. And pour our cherries. I used about half. So it called for 2 tablespoons of sugar. I'm using 1 tablespoon. Put our cherries on top. Perfect. Put that to the side and mix up everything else. So here I need 3 eggs. I have the oven preheating to 375. These eggs are pretty small, so I'm going to use 4. 1/3 of a cup coconut sugar. You could use cane sugar. 1/4 teaspoon almond extract. Pinch of salt. 1 1/4 cups milk. I'm using cashew milk because it's what I have. Almond milk is what the recipe calls for and would be great in this with the almond extract flavor already there. Whisk that together. Quarter cup gluten-free flour. My gluten-free flour I mix myself, which means there is no xanthan gum already in it. I'm actually going to use guar gum, which serves a similar purpose to bind. And I'm going to use 1/8 of a teaspoon. I won't need a lot for this because eggs are very binding as well. And the beauty of gluten-free flour is you cannot overmix it. I heard my oven beep, so all right, that's nice and smooth. I'm going to set a timer for 30 minutes and check it. Okay, we have a lot of cherry things underway. It's been 30 minutes and it is very much not done yet, but ooh, it's popping up. Let's get that closed. Let's set it for, I think it's gonna need at least 10 more. So that'll be 40 minutes. It's done. Ooh, it looks and smells delicious. And it might be done. I think that's done. And it's gorgeous. Oh, I love it. Look at those juices. Oh, it was a good call using the bright red cherries for this one. Good morning. We are ready to finish up everything we started yesterday that didn't get finished. So ice cream is the first thing I want to work on. Then we have the cherry pit jelly and they're right back here. I don't think you can see them right now. The maraschino cherries, which I've been brining overnight on my counter. So first I'm getting some water heating up and I'm gonna measure some chocolate into here that we will freeze in a flat sheet for our ice cream. I want 6 ounces of chocolate. Because remember, I'm making a double recipe of ice cream. And I'm going to melt this over a pot of hot water, boiling water, and that way the chocolate won't burn. It's important to melt this chocolate and then refreeze it. If I just put these chocolate chips right into, or got a chocolate bar and chopped it up and put it right into the ice cream, it would feel really hard when I eat it in the ice cream. But if you melt it and then refreeze it, I'll spread it out nice and flat on a sheet tray, and then put it into the ice cream as it's finishing churning, it will melt in your mouth when you eat it. So that's what we want. This water is boiling now, so it is melting quickly. There's just a little bit of water in here. I don't want the water to touch the bottom of the bowl. I just want it to heat the bowl. And you will notice that when you've melted and then refrozen, so it hardened the chocolate again, it melts very quickly when you touch it. So I try to handle it a lot while I'm getting it into the ice cream. And it makes for a very pleasant eating experience. Okay, so that's all melted. The bowl is very hot. Sometimes I even just do this while my ice cream is churning because I forget. But it's very quick. This will freeze again really quickly because we're gonna make it really thin. Okay, into the freezer. Now I'm ready to add everything to my blender. With cashew nut-based ice cream, you have to blend it a lot to get it really smooth and creamy. So it does heat it up quite a bit. So this ice cream will need to cool in the refrigerator until it's completely cold for a while. So I want to get this going first. So I have my cashews. I have my coconut milk. I'm going to use a whole can. This recipe on my website will be just a single batch, but I have a lot of cherries, so I'm making a lot. Should definitely have an apron for this. 2 pinches of salt. It's not quite done. Okay, so some of this I want to save to have whole cherries in the ice cream. I do have more cherries, so I'm gonna taste this with maybe 2/3 of this in here. And then if the flavor isn't cherry enough, I'm going to make more of these. Put all of these in here, make more for when I churn it. I think I'm definitely going to want more. Well, let's wait and see. Okay, a cup of honey, and I coated the inside of my cup measure with avocado oil so the honey will come out easily. If you're using cane sugar, which you could, you probably want about a cup and a half. Look at that, so easy. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Half a teaspoon of almond extract. Okay, I'm going to blend this for 2 to 4 minutes, so it is very creamy and smooth. I forgot to say, the reason I like to use honey in ice cream, because I could use coconut sugar if I still wanted to have to be an unrefined sugar, or I could use cane sugar if it wouldn't bother me. But honey keeps the ice cream from freezing hard, so it's a nice scoopable consistency right out of the freezer. It's been about 2 minutes. It smells good, looks creamy. I want to taste it and see if I want to add the rest of those cherries. I mean, that's gorgeous. It has really good cherry flavor. I think more wouldn't hurt, but let's see how many cherries I have. I can taste the cherry, I can taste the almond. It's really nice. They blended a little bit more. There's still a little bit of texture from the cashews I want to get out of there, but let's see. So this is another pound. I don't need that many more. But if I did another half a pound, that would be a lot of cherries to put in whole. Is that going to be excessive? Do we want a whole pound of cherries in one? Yeah, okay, I'm gonna add this. I'm gonna add this in because I don't think more cherry flavor is a bad thing. And then I will cook more. And the recipe on my website will be all updated. I'll cook more to cook just like this to have whole cherry bites. So another minute of blending. That'll be 3 minutes altogether. That's done. It needs to go through the refrigerator. I'm gonna get pitting and cooking these with just a touch of water in the beginning into that nice cooked down, juices released state, and then we'll add those with the chocolate chips that are freezing right now while the ice cream is churning. So I'm gonna get going on this, and then I'll see you back here for jelly. Change of plans. Okay, my cherries are simmering on the stove and getting nice and soft and releasing all their juices. Those will be nice on the ice cream. And I changed my mind about the cherry pit jelly. So when I was looking it up, I came across cherry pit syrup, which sounded more appropriate for how many pits I have and easier. So I'm gonna use coconut sugar. And because I want to give it to the kids, make maybe cherry lemonade, and I like to sweeten my lemonade with stevia. We need the sugar to draw the juices out of the cherry pits, but I don't want to, they're just not, my kids just do not do well, especially one of them with refined sugar. So I'm I'm gonna take, I have 7 ounces of cherry pits, which is the pits from about 5 pounds of cherries. And half a cup of coconut sugar. And the sugar will draw, you can use regular sugar too, for sure. The sugar will draw the moisture out of the cherry pits, and with it, all of the flavor and the juices. So I already had the pits in this container, so I'm just going to do it in here. Stir these around. And then once all of the sugar has dissolved and the juices have been released, I'll let this sit until tomorrow morning probably. So this is a 3-day cherry preserving process. Then I can strain this and I'll put it in the refrigerator and we'll just use it to flavor our drinks and it'll be tasty. We could make seltzer with this, that would be really good. And that'd be a nice little treat. So that is ready. I'm just gonna leave it on the counter. I'll shake it around every time I walk by. While I am making all this cherry stuff, I'm going to have a snack of some of my cherry Clafoutis from yesterday, which is already almost gone. We had some after dinner last night, and it's really good. It's very custardy because there's a lot of eggs, and the cherries are so delicious. It would be good with powdered sugar on top. It would be good with whipped cream on top. But I like it just like this. I have my sink cleaned out, and now I need to drain those brined cherries. These have been sitting for 24 hours in salt water, and it was hot salt water. Now I'm going to drain that water out. And you know how you're supposed to read recipes all the way through? Well, I'm one of those people who doesn't do that. So, surprise, there's actually one more 24-hour sitting period with the sugar water on these cherries. Now these are still really red. There is a suggestion in the recipe for adding food coloring, red food coloring, to make them redder. I do have red food coloring from Christmas extravaganzas, so I might do that. It's natural food coloring, and I guess I can just do it in the sugar water and kind of see what it looks like. But I'm gonna rinse this, get the cherries, and rinse this, get the cherries back in, and then we'll get the warm sugar water going for it to sit in for another 24 hours. They feel the same. All right, back into here. I'm just gonna use my hands. As Ina Garten says, clean hands are a cook's best tool. I saw her husband once in a restaurant in Connecticut, which is where he teaches, and I didn't say hi, and I really wish I had. I wish I had said hi and told him how much I love his wife's cooking. But I did see him eating lunch at a dim sum place, and that was kind of fun because I love Ina Garten. Okay, so this is gonna get our liquid once I get that made, so let's do that now. Going straight for the hard stuff. This time, the refined sugar. This is for my husband, mainly. These cherries, these maraschino cherries. And he's gonna want it to be as close to the real thing as possible. So I need 1, 2, 3. Oh, yes. 4. So that's 2 cups plus a 1/4 cup. That's why these are a treat. Okay. tablespoon and a half of lemon juice. I just want to bring this to a boil, dissolve the sugar, and let's get out food coloring. It's India tree stuff. Oh, and it does have red. You have to mix a lot of the colors, but it has red. So let's try it. It's free of all the red has vegetable juice, glycerin, deionized water, and turmeric. The yellow has turmeric as well. I wonder what's, it must be, maybe it's beet juice too. Maybe the vegetable juice is beet juice. But these work pretty well. They're not quite as vibrant as your, what, red 40 or whatever, but good enough for us. I'm just gonna give it a big squeeze and see. Ooh. It's red. It seems like I could go darker. Very nice. That looks very maraschino cherry colored. I can feel that the sugar is pretty much dissolved. So now we just need to let it boil. Once my sugar mixture has boiled, I can pour it over the cherries and they can start their second 24-hour sitting period. While that ice cream is finishing spinning, I'm going to drain out my cherry pits here with this lovely dark syrup that I can use for drinks, and it'll be a yummy treat. This is day 3, and we are finishing up our cherry extravaganza with canning these maraschino cherries. So look at that beautiful red color. I'm going to strain out the cherries and get them into my canning jars here. Then that liquid will need to be brought up to a boil so that I can put these in jars into hot canning water, and this can just be a hot water bath canning process. I'll have the recipe linked so you can take a look if you would also like to make some maraschino cherries. These have been really delicious because, spoiler, it is a year later since I filmed all these cherry items, and the video didn't happen, but cherry season is happening again. So here it all is, and I can show you a shot from just yesterday with my last remaining jar of maraschino cherries. We've enjoyed them on ice cream, mostly with whipped cream, like a little sundae, and it's been really fun to have. So I'll probably make these again for sure. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.